cultivate their potential, and create a strategic plan to go after the career and life that they want. That's what I do. And so when I come and drop these bits of information and knowledge, it's really in that pursuit to help equip people to condense time to get the career and life that they want. And so today, yesterday it came to me, labor into laboratory. When I saw the words, right, labor is a subset of the word laboratory, turning your labor into a laboratory. And so I'm really going to endeavor to help some people here. Oftentimes, if you're on social media, you see a lot about coaches and mentors, and they're like, hey, we can have you start your own business and we can help you, generate all this income. And don't get me wrong, those are things I can help with. But where my primary target is foundationally, it's helping you build a very prosperous career. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that today because people don't normally talk to you about how to enjoy the job that you have and create the career that you want to create. You just don't hear a lot of that. And so I'm going to help expose some of the goodness of where you are. So to do that, I do want to go back to I was going to go back to the post, but I pretty much just summed it up. So Delilah Bartlett, that's who I am. That's what I do. Really excited that you guys are here. Comments are available. Feel free to leave comments as we go along. We're not going to be here for a very long time. I'm going to be here long enough to concisely share the information that I have to share, long enough to hear any initial thoughts or comments that you may have. And then wrap it up and give you some good information. And so there's some great information coming at the end of this. And so you want to stay tuned in. This is an engaging exercise. So you should have a notebook and pen handy or your favorite note-taking device. It's cool to take notes on your phone as well. But this is not just you're going to listen and then walk away and say, oh, that was great. No, you're going to write down information. You're going to figure out of everything I shared tonight, which one or two things you want to walk away, implement, and see real results and change in your life. That's what we're doing here tonight. Okay? All right. I'm feeling good tonight. Really excited to be here. I have my notes. Again, this came yesterday. And so I was getting notes together so I can make sure that I cover everything that I wanted to share with you guys. So first, again, we are really talking tonight to people who are working jobs. These can be my service, retail, manufacturing industry people, and different levels of the organization. So my frontline associates or my frontline leaders, supervisors, maybe you're even a mid-level manager in your organization. That has had good momentum but want a little bit more. Maybe you find yourself in any one of those areas, either by industry or by level of organization. I am talking to you tonight. Those of you, my executives, my upper level executives, you can hang out too because there'll be some stuff here for you as well. And it'll be information and insight that you can share with your teams in order to continue to develop the resources available to you, the human resources available to you. So here we go. It is Wednesday night. We are turning our labor into a career laboratory. So when we talk labor, let's look at the words first. First of all, labor. The definition. The dictionary defines labor as work, especially hard or physical. What you show up doing every day, no matter what capacity you're in, it's work. If it were pleasure, people probably wouldn't be getting paid. As many people wouldn't be getting paid to do it. And so labor is work. Labor is sometimes hard. Labor is sometimes difficult. And so labor is sometimes something that we don't look forward to. And what we're doing here is a mind shift because I believe, and if you've ever done a coaching program with me or if you've ever heard me talk about my coaching programs, I pretty much talk on two sides, two hemispheres. I talk about mindset and I talk about skill set, executive mindset, leadership skill set. And what we're doing here is a bit of mindset and going into some skill set, but we'll get to it. But as we're shifting our mind from thinking less about labor and more about laboratory, you're going to need the definition for laboratory. And so one of the definitions says a place providing opportunity for experimentation, observation, or practice in a field of study. In a field of study. Oh, this is so good. And I'm so glad that you came. So that you know, if you don't know, I'm live here on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. This recording will be available for on all of those platforms, and for you to come back and reabsorb some of the things that I've shared. If you want to take your notes and then come back and refer to the main material, or if you want to share the video with a friend, the video will be available on those three mediums. And so, laboratory, again, a place providing opportunity for experimentation, observation, and practice in a field of study. Okay, and so when you show up to your gig, when you show up to work, oftentimes we show up and we're like, okay, we have to do these already predetermined tasks that someone else has determined. Here are the things that we do. It's just routine and mundane, and there's no excitement in it. Here's where you get to infuse your own excitement, and not only do you get to get excited, you also get to get elevated by creating your own experience for you and your future career. Here's how. In the laboratory, one of the things that you want to think about, because this is your laboratory, I want you to reframe your mind. When you're showing up to work, you're not just showing up to do predetermined tasks. You're showing up to your laboratory where you get to do what? Experiment, observe, and practice in this particular field. Your field, again, right now, today, I'm really talking to retail service, and service could be any type of customer service. You name it. If you call yourself customer service or delivering a service, your service today. Retail, we know what that means. Manufacturing, we know what that means. But you're showing up at your job. You're showing up your gig, and now your gig is now a laboratory. So when you show up at this laboratory, I want you to ask yourself, what do you want to practice? Right? What do you want to practice in your laboratory? Because you're going to get excited about coming to work. Because why? You're showing up somewhere where there's probably been millions and billions of dollars invested in infrastructure, strategy, framework, policies, procedures, and you get to use this place as your playground and your laboratory to hone in your skills, to experiment, observe, and practice the things that you want to practice. You get to do more than the predetermined stuff that's already been established for me. It's established for you. So what do you want to practice? Here's a list of things that just came to mind as that I was thinking about that you may want to consider practicing in your laboratory, because you may be creating, maybe it's a career that you're creating. Maybe you are one of those entrepreneur people who are really trying to sharpen your skills so that when you launch out on your own, you've already mastered these things. And this is the place in your laboratory, i.e., your gig, your job. Here's where you practice. And so here's some things you may want to practice. Customer service. As you're at your job and you're practicing the level of service, you're noticing how you can engage differently with different types of people. You're noticing body language. You're noticing what happens when your tone is inflected. You're noticing when you're proactively giving service versus when you're waiting for your customer to possibly ask for something. You're anticipating, and you're doing these things, and you're playing around to see how you can give the best level of service, so that as you continue to build relationship or continue to have different type of clientele or elevated clientele, you're already prepared to continue to have your and build your own business. If that's what you're after, you know how to do it best, right? When you talk about customer service, another thing that you're practicing is effective communication. Because as you make deals, as you strike up contracts, as you build relationships and network, effective communication is something that is absolutely necessary. Effective communication to me is different than communication. Effective communication means that when you speak, someone clearly understands the takeaway from the information that you share and they can action it. That means effective communications, that means that you're listening, not just to respond, but to understand. And so you're sharpening those skills in your laboratory, right? You're experimenting, and you're practicing the things that you know are going to continue to build and elevate you in your career. Why? Because you're not just showing up at a job, you're showing up in your laboratory to perfect the things that you want to perfect in your field of study. This is your field, and here's where you study. Diffusing situations. Some of us are showing up at the gig, our laboratory, and every conversation is not an easy or good conversation. And so we're learning to perfect, not trying to see how many people we can combat or debate, but actually trying to see how many people we can win over, right? Because we know we're going to be able to build more clientele by being able to diffuse what may look like difficult situations. We know you're going to be able to get more notoriety from your leadership by being able to handle difficult situations. And so, as you're practicing in your laboratory on diffusing situations, you're actually being noticed by others on how talented is she? How skilled is he? To be able to diffuse what is such a difficult situation and what others may have struggled with. And so, that's another area you want to practice. A couple things, I'll say a couple more, and then I'll go into another data analysis. You're practicing, right? How you compile data, how data is best set up, how you can trend and sort through data. You may be someone who's in maybe some type of collections. Maybe it's collections, and you're pulling in information, and you're noticing the type of clients that you're calling, and you're noticing the type of dollar amount, and so you're able to collect this data and then understand the trends of your industry and be able to give insights that maybe other people aren't seeing. Again, why? Because you're showing up to a laboratory, not laboring at a job, and you're showing that your true value, and you're really just rocking out and having a good time in your laboratory. Problem solving, accounting, and relationship management are also other areas that you may want to practice in your laboratory. It's all about a mindset and how you're framing it. You're not just coming to work, you're coming to a lab, you're coming to put your work in, you're coming to practice and hone your craft and your skill sets, and these are different things you can practice. There's also this element, right, in the definition of laboratory that talked about experimentation. And so the question came for me then, well, then what do I want to experiment with? I have a list of things that I would want to practice in my field of study, in my laboratory, but what might I want to experiment with? Here are a couple things you may want to consider. Um, Continuous improvement is something you want to experiment with, right? How you can take a process that maybe is established at your place of business, the place you labor, that is now your laboratory, and you want to tweak a couple things just to see how more efficient it could be, how you can save costs, how much more productive it could be, how quickly you can get it done, how more pleasing it could be to the end user. And so you're going to try different things, right, to continuously improve a current process, and then you're going to share it with those around you. And hey, when we used to do A through B, it netted us C, but I made a slight tweak, and now it actually nets us D, which is an improvement in the process, right? Because you're just going into this thing trying to be the best and create the best and craft the best that you can in your laboratory. Team building. Team building is another experiment. What personalities work well together? What type of people do you have to write to? What type of people do you have to have dialogue with? What type of people, what type of group activities can you bring together to bring harmony? You're focused on bringing harmony and building, not tearing away or tearing apart, and you're experimenting. You're going, maybe you're in one of those environments where it's like not everybody gets along in your environment. And so now you're like, how can I creatively create harmony within this team? How can I build a team? Maybe you're talking to people on an individual basis, trying to build credibility and confidence so they can see you as a peacemaker and as somebody who's creating harmony and has a genuine interest in the unit versus in the individuals. And so, well, you're concerned about the individuals, but you get my point about team building. And so there's so many things that you can be building in your laboratory. You can be experimenting, you could be practicing, you can be observing how things are going in order to put them in your box, in your mental box, in order to kind of mold those thoughts over to create or recreate things that'll be of value to the teams around you, to the people around you, and that gets you notoriety and allows you to be seen in a way that others aren't being seen. You know, I'm a person about results. You'll be driving results into the bottom line to the people around you that are tangible, and people can understand that you did X and Y happened. A couple more points on your laboratory. I hope this is good for you guys because it's really good for me. Okay, I got a little music in the back. This is a good night. In your laboratory, Determine what do you want to create and create it. And so you're in your laboratory. I have this vision of beakers. You guys saw the thumbnail picture I created. It was, magnifying glass, but I had a vision of glass and a microscope, not magnifying glass, microscope, and I had a vision about beakers and lab coats, like this whole big laboratory that you're in, and you're creating something. And I'm like, what are you creating? And so be clear on what it is that you're going in to create. Creating more effective communication skills. You're building a solid skill set of diffusing situations, difficult situations, whatever it is that you're building. And then actually give yourself a time period, a set time period where you want to see a difference or you want to see results. It could be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 2 years. I wouldn't say 2 years, short period of time to make sure you got milestone markers to see the improvements that you want to see. Because you want to check in and make sure that, one, that you're not becoming complacent and you somehow reverted back to just coming to work every day and you've left your laboratory. But you also want to make sure that you're able to quantify and identify the results that you've actually created. You want to be able to see that you're responding differently. Maybe it's not quantifiable. Maybe all of it's not quantifiable. Some of it should be, but you're seeing things different, seeing things in yourself differently. You're noticing how you're responding differently. You see how you've gone from structuring things one way to another and what the results of that was. You see the team around you. I'm seeing you now as an expert, a professional, a subject matter expert, because you're building team and you're sharing information and you're creating momentum in and around you. And so you should be able to see that. But in your laboratory, have a set time. In a month from now, I want to see where I am with this skill set, with this communications things. In a month from now, I want to see where I am with this data analysis thing. And a month from now, I want to see where I am with this relationship management thing and see what progress I've made. Because one, it's going to create momentum and it's going to create confidence. And so your laboratory is important. When will you assess the results? We just talked about set up a set time to check your results. Just don't keep doing the same thing. Don't revert back to just going to a job. You're turning your labor. Y'all, I can pack this up and sell it. I'm going to tell you right now. What I just shared with you is at least a 5-point program that I could easily package up and walk someone through one-on-one, get more deliberate and more detailed on each of the items I've shared, and could sell it. But I just straight up just gave it to you because that's what I do. If you guys know, I come to encourage, empower, and equip. If it's a broad breath platform like this where I'm live, I am here to encourage and empower and some equipping. Equipping goes into a little bit more detail to make sure that you have a system for structure and a system for accountability. So that's what I have to share for labor, how to turn your labor into your career laboratory.